So my name is Prav Simahan and I work in the Sustainable Finance team at Standard Bank. Our team basically works with product teams to enable instruments that are green, social and sustainability linked, both in the loan market space and in the bond market space. Adaptation finance means financing projects that help to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So things like drought-resistant crop transition by farmers, or putting in place flood-resistant infrastructure, as well as biodiversity rehabilitation projects are all considered climate adaptation. What we know is that in Africa, we are experiencing a higher intensity of climate change impacts, but the adaptation finance remains a fraction of what is actually needed. So we do need to find innovative solutions around climate adaptation. And the bank is constantly working with DFIs, governments, and with our private sector partners to enable adaptation finance. One of the huge challenges around adaptation finance is that it's very location and context specific. It needs to consider the local context, the local biodiversity, the local communities, the local socioeconomic conditions. And so this makes it a lot harder to actually deploy. So what we really need to see is an integration between government, financiers, development finance organizations, civil society, and communities to co-develop solutions. Multilateral bodies like the G20 and COP30 can play a crucial role by setting the agenda, by mobilizing finance, by calling for the mobilization of finance, and for fostering collaboration. What's important though is for these bodies to move away from just making commitments or advocating to actual implementation, and to ensure that adaptation is not seen as secondary to climate mitigation. It needs to be on an equal footing, and especially on this continent, which hasn't historically really contributed to global warming, but is extremely vulnerable to the risks of global warming. The just energy transition basically means shifting to clean energy and clean fuel sources, but ensuring inclusive growth and protecting vulnerable communities and ensuring social inclusion. So Standard Bank is really focused on financing renewable energy, embedding social safeguards and human rights in our due diligence, supporting workforce transition and community resilience, and expanding financial inclusion to cover the most underserved groups in our communities, and then partnering with governments and DFIs to bring in that financing and to ensure that we help enable and align with national just energy transition plans. So Standard Bank is doing a lot around climate adaptation. We understand the risk for the African continent because we are exposed to a higher level of climate change. Some of the things that we've done in this regard is that we have set a really ambitious sustainable finance mobilization target of more than 450 billion from 2022 to 2028, and we've achieved half of that to date. Under this target, we have sub-targets for green financing and social financing of 100 billion each between 2025 and 2028. So this talks to our commitment to address issues like climate adaptation and broader green and social initiatives across the continent. South Africa's G20 presidency is actually a historic opportunity to really champion the Global South's priorities. We can highlight Africa's solutions. We have a number of solutions that have been developed uniquely on the continent and actually position the continent as a hub for climate innovation. If South Africa could use its presidency to elevate adaptation on the global agenda and secure tangible commitments, we will be leaving a legacy that far outlives our term.